prop.
Alright, well I finally got some acceptable conditions, so it was time to take the aircraft up for the first time and take it around the pattern. I had gotten a little bit of time with an instructor on Friday, so I was feeling a little bit more comfortable to go ahead with this flight.
The Regional Airport. Automated weather observation 1804 Zulu. Wind calm. Visibility 10. Sky condition broken 1100. Temperature 27.
Held off the ground, the Raptor 352 Tango Delta at the north ramp, like to taxi to 17.
352 Tango Delta, held off the ground, runway 17, taxi via Alpha, wind 070 at 3, altimeter 3004.
And taxi to 17 via Alpha, 352 Tango Delta.
Okay, so I remembered to do up the strap on my helmet, but as most of you have probably already noticed, I didn't fully latch my door over there, but fortunately the way that door works, the hooks and the pins are already engaged, even where the position of the door handle was, and it just wasn't fully locked over center. So there really wasn't any, worry about it coming open, and obviously it didn't come open. But I know everybody's going to say, well, you didn't lock your door, Anyway, can't be perfect on everything. And as you'll see here, I am using the checklist that I put on the G3X, and I also have a little post-it note there for some last minute items that I wanted to just pay attention to, but didn't have time to sort of include on the checklist. So my intention was to basically depart on 17, make right traffic, and if I had any problem, land back on 4, otherwise circle the field about 2 times and then either land again on 17 or come around and land on 35. And my biggest concern here was temperatures, because I just hadn't had a full run like this yet.
352 Tango Delta holding short of 17 for the option.
Raptor 352 Tango Delta, off the tower. White closed traffic approved, report Nightfield with 17, clear for takeoff.
Right, traffic approved, flight traffic approved, midfield, report midfield, runway 17, clear for takeoff, 352 Tango Delta.
So I was a little bit rushed here because the temperature's been cool all morning because of the fog and low clouds, and then all of a sudden when it cleared very quickly, and then the sun came out and everything got hot, so I was a bit rushed here trying to get out onto the runway there and keep my oil temp below 145, but I managed to get out there. Anyway, I'm going to let you watch this just in real time without any commentary, and then once I've gone through on this, I'll take you through again with some more instrumentation and let you know what was going on in my head and what I was seeing and feeling and experiencing.
like to come around for 4 if you don't mind.
Raptor 2 single Delta, runway 4 clear to land.
Runway 4 clear to land, 2 Tango Delta.
Delta, taxi to the northwest via Alpha.
North ramp via Alpha 2 Tango Delta.
Alright, let me take you through what was going on in my head while all this was happening. So as you can see, the oil temp down the bottom there, the second one, by the time I get on the runway it was already basically 150, which is, you know, where I thought it would be by the time I sort of lined up. So that was my big concern, but also to the coolant temperature to the left of that. I didn't want that to get over about 240, and I didn't really want the oil temp to get over anything more than, say, 255. The ambient temperature next to that is actually the air temp going into the engine via the filter, which is basically the air coming over the top of the radiator there through the cowling. And the rest of the things are pretty obvious there, what's going on with the instrumentation. So I was looking for about 88 knots on the ground speed, or 106 on indicator, which was similar to what I had when I had it in ground effect before. So here you can see I've got that, and I'm starting to try and get the nose off here, and just very gently, and then it comes off, more closer to 100 knots there. And you can see that the indicated and ground speeds there get fairly closely matched up, so I think they're fairly accurate. The first thing that ended up happening was I ended up rolling a little bit to the right, and so I got off center line right away, and so I put in a little bit of aileron trim to come back to the left, and I was getting, as you can see here, a little bit of oscillation in not only roll but also a little bit in pitch. And at this point, looking at my temperatures, and I see there I've got, already 208, and so I'd already pulled the throttle back here to 82%. And I figured, well, I've got enough altitude to get around if I can maintain my airspeed here, and I wasn't getting, the cooling that I was hoping for. So I figured, all right, I've got some information here, I'm in the air, I'm flying, I've got airspeed, I've got enough time, let me go around and put it on 4. So that's basically what I was doing here, and I made the call to the tower to say I wanted to land on 4, and I'm glancing down, looking at my oil temps there, and so I've got 236 already, and the coolant temperature still had a little bit of headroom, so I figured I was going to make it without sort of getting too hot on the temperatures. But again, I was still getting this sort of bucking motion a little bit, and I have some thoughts on that, and I think it's possibly to do with the fact the gear was down, and my large wheel wells and stuff, I was getting some fluctuations in the air going in and out of the wheel wells and around the gear, and that was causing some aerodynamic loads to make the aircraft sort of pitch a little bit and roll a little bit. But I still need to analyze that more to see if that's what's going on. Ultimately, the next flight would be better by putting the gear up. And also want to do some more, put some more thought into getting everything cool. But as you can see here, engine oil temp was 252. As I'm about to put it down, coolant temp 235, and you got bucked around a little bit there at the last second, and put it down a little bit firm. I was a bit worried about running out of runway again because I'm landing on the shorter runway now. But as you can see, I had plenty of room to spare with that, and rolled out for basically the last 3,000 feet. Okay, so what's next? Well, I think the next flight needs to be done with the gear retracted to see if that stabilizes the whole aircraft, because you can see there I'm not really putting in any elevator controls, and I'm not doing anything with the ailerons per se that's causing this motion there. And potentially I could tuft under the wings there around the wheel wells to see what's going on, and put a camera down there on one of the wheels, and see what's happening before the gear is retracted. But the other thing I possibly want to do is maybe investigate putting an oil cooler just below the cowling there, and cool the oil directly. But I need to do some more investigation and see if the turbos, the return oil from the turbos, is what's generating all the heat, and I can do that with a static run on the ground, and just either using a temp gauge on that oil line, return line, or I can use my infrared camera there just to see where the heat's coming from. And try and sort of cool it at its source, so it's not going back into the sump all hot like that. But anyway, I need to investigate that more. So there's a bunch of thought that still needs to happen here before another flight, I think. But overall, obviously, I think it was successful. I didn't get the climb rate that I was getting, that I wanted either, and again, because all the drag, I think, with the gear and the wheel wells, wasn't able to get the nose down and get as much air in the intake scoop as well, because having to hold a higher pitch attitude with the drag that was there. So overall, I managed to do what I said I was going to do with getting it in the air and getting it around and back on 4 if I had a problem. So obviously tons of data to look at and analyze, and so we'll just go forward, see what I can do with cooling even potentially just having the intake scoop all the way open instead of in the closed position may be making a difference. Having the gear retracted would make a difference because there would be less drag, and I'd be able to actually get the aircraft cruising at a higher speed. So even more air coming in there. With the scoop open and going at a higher airspeed with the gear retracted may be enough. So there's, I want to spend some time thinking about all these different things, and obviously you guys are more than welcome to put your input there. What do you think about me, basically attaching an oil cooler to the bottom of the cowling there for a test and running the oil through that? Do you think that would make a big difference? And I'm also wondering, how much of this oscillation was caused by thermals there, because, it had been cloudy all morning and foggy earlier, and then all of a sudden when the sun came out, the ground was getting heated up, so I'm probably hitting some of those thermals as well, and just being, overly sensitive about what I'm feeling in the aircraft. So potentially, things weren't as, aerodynamically generated by the aircraft as opposed to what was, the air was doing. But my feeling was it felt like it was a bit sluggish again because the gear was down, wasn't climbing as well as what I would hoped, and obviously the temperatures wasn't cooling as much as what I wanted. So anyway, feel free to put in the comments any suggestions that you have. Please keep it positive. If you're going to say something negative, just save it. I don't want to hear it. I'm trying to do this with the best intentions. And really just having people say negative stuff in the comments is just not helpful one bit. And I'll read all your comments. So if you have something, a good positive input to add, then please go ahead and add it. And so I think as I said, the takeaways from this is I'd like to get some better cooling on both the coolant temps and also the oil temps. And I'd like to try the next run with the gear up and probably tuft around the wheel well, so even before the gear comes up, see what's happening there once the angle of attack is increased there on the wing and it starts generating lift. See if there's a lot of spillage happening out from below those wheel wells that's causing the aircraft to want to just oscillate a little bit in the roll axis and potentially even in the pitch axis. Anyway, so that's going to be this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. It was fun. It was a little bit nerve-wracking, but each time I take it up, I learn something new. And also too, if you think that now's the time I should hand it over to somebody else who can fly it and give their suggestions on how it's handling, comparatively speaking to another aircraft and how it should be handling, let me know. And if you have some suggestions for somebody who's local over here who'd like to take it up and give an evaluation of its handling characteristics, then let me know. I'm open to suggestions. I'm probably going to have to reach out for some more funding if I'm going to bring somebody else in who's going to cost me some serious money to test it, but that's just part and parcel of what's going on. Anyway, that's going to be this update. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks again for watching, and tune in again for the next one. Cheers.